The spirit of innovation is deeply ingrained in America, and Google is helping Americans innovate in ways both big and small. The Department of Defense is working with Google to help secure America's digital defense systems, from establishing cloud-based zero-trust solutions to deploying the latest AI technology. This is a new era of American innovation. Find out more at g.co/American innovation.
Springfest and Ego Days are here at Lowe's. Right now, get a free Select Ego 56-volt battery with purchase of a Select trimmer, blower, or mower kit. Plus, shop today for new and exclusive items you need for your lawn. So get ready for spring with the latest in innovation from Ego, the #1 rated brand in cordless outdoor power. Only at Lowe's. We help, you save. Offer valid through 4/2. Selection varies by location while supplies last.
Tyler Durman is back this week, and we talked about perhaps the biggest parenting challenge in terms of setting boundaries, and that's screen time, obviously. Part of the challenge for parents is that there are so many different types of screens. There's an iPad math game, then there's social media. Guess which one of those two you need to limit? It's actually a trick question. In this real-life scenario, the iPad math game has paid content to earn jewels and is highly addictive, and your son just spent $400 accidentally. While your 14-year-old daughter launched a jewelry business on Instagram and earned $400. Navigating this stuff is impossible. I'm Dr. Wendy Hunter, and I'm the pediatrician next door. I'm that doctor friend you call for practical advice about your kid's health. I mix the science of medicine with the reality of parenting. Tyler Durman is a parenting coach. You've heard him before. He tells this great story about a day trip he took with his family. They had never had a lot of limits on screen time in the car, but it had become apparent that time in the car was special for the family. It was a good time to connect. So he and his wife decided they were no longer going to allow their kids to use their personal devices when they were on a family road trip. His daughter was really upset at first, and she said, "Fine, I'll just sleep." So Tyler and his wife just let it go, and they said, "Okay, go to sleep." But about 10 minutes later, she perked up and joined right back in on the family conversation. This is the kind of thing that Tyler refers to as a reset. It's never too late to reset our limits on the technology that our kids use. Honestly, the tech keeps changing, so we can change our rules about it. Here's Tyler.
I used to be asked this question all the time early in my career are kids today the same as they used to be? And my answer was, yeah, generally speaking, styles, music, those things have changed, but they have the same needs and generally the same thing. It was like when you were younger. And then the iPhone came out. And then when I was asked that question a couple of years after that, I realized for the first time in all these years, I have to say, no, kids are not the same. They're dealing with a whole different level of challenges in their lives, and we inherit those challenges. I've thought a lot about this, Wendy, because I get asked this question a lot. And whether it's in a podcast like this, a television interview, or by a dad on a Zoom call, what do we do about the screens? It's such a heavy weight. I now believe that if we could go back, Kristen and I, we agree that if we could go back to when the kids were little, we wouldn't let them have a screen until they were 16 that was their own, that they could take with them. Because it's not a screen, it's a computer.
Wow. How did you choose that age?
Well, we felt that our job is to prepare them. And now this goes against one of the things I teach, which is that there isn't a magical age for things, that our kids earn freedom based on how they handle the freedom they already have. In a general sense, 16-year-old feels like we still have time with you while you're at home to manage the things that will come up with screens so you can practice under our roof before you go away to hopefully college or you get a roommate and work. Whereas waiting that long gives your brain time to develop and for us time to instill in you these habits of family time and of imagination and of doing things with your hands and being artistic or whatever they are. And one of the reasons is because as soon as you introduce a screen into your kid's life, you are opening the world up to your kid. So the first question for most of us is, uh-oh, my kid already has the screen. What do I do? Well, I think it's really important to say that you have values as a parent, or hopefully with a co-parent. In a perfect world, even if you're not still with your co-parent, that co-parent and you can have conversations about these things. If not, you still have the right to have values in your own home. And your child, actually, if they're living in a home sharing time with you and their other biological parent, they will end up respecting the parent that does have boundaries and follows up, that makes them feel safe, that isn't trying to be the Disney dad or the happy mom all the time, the good cop. So having already introduced screens, which is most of us, the question is, what do we do? How does that measure up according to our values? And I think a lot of us parents are afraid to live according to our values when it comes to screens because we want so much for our kids to be happy for us. There's this understanding of this general principle that your child wants to respect you more than they want to like you. And if you can reach a point where you really believe that, where you say, here is the deal, they need to feel safe. I need to be their parent, not their peer. My intimacy with them is built on respect, on my strength, not militaristic strength where I don't listen, where I just give out all the rules, but on an intimate strength where I'm willing to listen, I'm willing to consider what they say and have conversation, but ultimately that these are our values. If you believe that, it takes away that fear of my kids not going to like me. I did a survey of parents for about 6 months, speaking live to them on 3x5 cars. And 2 questions. What is your greatest fear? And what is your greatest pain point? And the fear was, the number one was that my kid's not going to want to be in my life after they leave home. And the pain point was that my kid is rebellious, or my fear that my kid is going to rebel and not want to be close to me while they're at home. But if we can convince ourselves the truth is that you can be close to your kids by being strong, then the screen issue becomes a whole different thing. Then when you say to a child, here's your limits, like we had to with Brooke in the car one time, and say, we've changed the way we're going to do car rides as a family. And it's our fault we didn't tell you this before because we've set up this expectation. That's not your fault, that's ours. So this is going to be disappointing to you. But we've just figured it out. So that's how it goes. And we're sorry if this frustrates you, but this is better for us. Then you have that conversation. If you can have that conversation, realizing in the long run, this is built on the foundation of what my kid really needs, I can do it with a sense of confidence. And then I can follow up when they're not liking me with a sense of confidence. So I believe we do need to have limits on screens, on screen time.
That's a tough one because you're right. It's ubiquitous and they get them when they're toddlers practically and they see us using them. Tell me what you think of this. I've always said you should get a phone when you need to be in contact with me because you're spending time alone. So it's not an age, but like if you're 14 and you're at soccer practice and there's not an adult around and I need to figure out where to pick you up, I need you to be able to communicate with me besides like a tin can and a rope,
Right. The string and tin can trick. Yeah, I agree with that. You might have a child who's shown they're not ready for that freedom.
True,
and
yes.
So their friends have phones. Mm-hmm. Memorize my phone number. Because I've heard that from parents, and the real thing they're saying is, I'm kind of afraid my kid's going to hate me. And I don't know what to say because I'm on my screen a lot, which gives us pause for thought. Mm-hmm. If the real need is your kid's safety, then I get that. If they're in a circumstance where they might be left alone at the soccer field and daylight savings time means it's going to get dark early.
But your point is good because I have a kid who's lost 3 expensive calculators this year, and there is no way I'm getting him a phone.
No, absolutely.
Right? He's not going to be able to plug it in and keep it charged and not lose it.
Yeah, so let's talk about this notion of freedom, because really a phone is a privilege. I remember the first time I said to Caleb, your phone is a privilege. He goes, well, I had to pay for part of it. He had a flip phone, and he hated this flip phone. He wanted an iPhone so bad.
You are the most embarrassing dad. I can't believe you made him have a flip phone.
I know. And he's like, we all hated flip phones, like texting the letter C, 1, 2, 3, right?
Yeah.
We had to push that A. He hated it, and he was just living for the moment, like all his friends. He could have an iPhone. So we were talking about the way you earn the freedom to have an iPhone is by showing us you're responsible for the freedom you already have. He goes, well, what if I don't? You can't take my phone away. And I said, yes, I can. I checked with the police. I'm allowed to. He goes, but I paid for, you made me pay for half of it. I said, you paid for half of it with the energy your body had because of the vegetables Mom and I provide for you. And so that phone is not your phone. We call it your phone. Oh yeah, but it's not your phone. It's our phone. We love you, son. Your bedroom is not your bedroom. It's my future office. I'm allowing you to borrow it until you leave home, right? And we joked about it, and we laugh a lot in our family, but the underpinning point was, oh, son, no, it's a privilege to have this phone. It's a privilege to have freedom with that phone. And here's 3 words we have written on a 3x5 card hanging in our kitchen next to the hash marks to show how tall people are getting. We have 2 cards. One says, freedom is earned. And our kids know that. We wrote that down. We all agreed together that they earn freedom based on how responsible they are with the freedom they already have. But that sign, freedom is earned, is really a great foundation for this question with phones. If you're not being responsible with expensive items, like a calculator, you don't earn the freedom to have a more expensive item, right? You have to be responsible for the freedom you have.
At Capella University, you can learn at your own pace with our FlexPath learning format. Take 1 or 2 courses at a time and complete as many as you can in a 12-week billing session. With FlexPath, you can even finish the bachelor's degree you started in 22 months for $20,000. A different future is closer than you think with Capella University. Learn more at capella.edu. Fastest 25% of students. Cost varies by pace, transfer credits, and other factors. Fees apply.
Wow, this house is cute. But can I really get in the game in this economy? I do have savings, and I am responsible-ish. I should bury it. I'm being wild. But what if I'm not being wild, though? Could I actually score a...
Kick off your home buying journey with Zillow's new BuyAbility tool. It makes it easy to find out what you can afford, so you can get off the bench and onto the playing field with confidence. Check your BuyAbility only on Zillow.
Membership means more with American Express Business Gold. Earn 4 times membership rewards points in your top 2 eligible spending categories every month, including eligible U.S. advertising purchases and select media, and U.S. purchases at restaurants, including takeout and delivery. What are you waiting for? Get the card that flexes with your spending every month. Terms and points cap apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-gold. Amex Business Gold Card. Built for business by American Express.
According to Tyler and pretty much every parenting expert out there, kids earn the right to have any responsibility based on showing that they are ready by managing sequentially more and more challenging things, like not losing their calculator or their 9th umbrella. My list goes on. Nevertheless, there is a stepwise progression from childhood to the responsibilities of adulthood, and they unlock each level. Actually, that's kind of like a video game, ironically. You have to pass one level to get to the next. Even more tricky is, how do you show kids you trust them by giving them some amount of privacy, but at the same time keeping them safe, especially when it comes to social media? How do we balance allowing our students, our kids, to have privacy, but also let them deal with social media? Like, where is that?
Well, I believe that early on, we should have access to everything that they're doing on the phone, and we should tell them why. It's to protect them. We lock our door at night because there's people out there who might want to come in. We don't drop our kids off in downtown LA at 2 a.m. We have these things because our job is to protect our kids. There are predators out there looking. but you have the chance to earn freedom. And so as you get older, we develop a trust. But then the question is, how do we respect their privacy, which is a great question. And the answer is simple. If you suspect, as they're getting older and more mature, you suspect that you see them posing like a lot of girls, like our daughter was, thrusting out her chest and doing kissy lips, and we thought, we don't want her to see the world that way, that her sex appeal is the way she's valued. So we sat with Brooke and we said, let's look through your stuff. Is there anything you want to tell us first? Because we respect your privacy, but we have a cause. It's the same with searching a kid's room because you're afraid they're coming home with, you notice they have eye drops and that they don't come too close to you after they've been out on a night. Are they hiding something? There's reasons to be concerned. It's the same thing with social media. You sit with your kid and you say, hey, in effect, we're going to go search your room. And anything you want to tell us before, here's why, here's the indicators. We're pretty sure we're not going to find anything, but your chance first to tell us. And then we want you to come with us and we're going to search your room. And if we're wrong, we'll celebrate that. But we just want to protect you. And social media is the same thing. I think it's this fallacy that when our kid is 13, they have to have total freedom on social media because they're not ready for it. They're developmentally not ready for it. It's a new tool that we get to use to help them shape their value. And we had that conversation with Brooke, and we took away Snapchat, and she was livid because she had streaks, 172 streaks on Snapchat, which is I'll snap you and then you snap me back in a time limit. And we took that away. And on the way home from school the next day, she said, Mom, I'm kind of glad you took Snapchat away because it was so much pressure. And I got to tell my friends it was because you guys wouldn't let me have it. So it wasn't like I was bailing on these streaks. They need us to be involved in those things. I had a teenager who I was speaking to in a coaching call whose dad is on his screen all the time. And he says it's because of business. But his dad's feed on Instagram is almost a full-time job. And it has nothing to do with his business. His son is so smart, he sees that. And his son said to me, he said, if my dad told me, his son's almost 16, if my dad told me that I couldn't have social media anymore and he was willing to give it up, I'd be like, okay, Dad.
Wow, that's really powerful.
It was huge. And it was so surprising because our kids are watching us and they are heat-seeking missiles for hypocrisy.
Yeah.
Why? Because they want to feel safe. And so do you really mean what you say? And so role model, we know being a role model is one of the greatest ways to affect change in the behavior of other people. So that inconsistency and excuses, our kids see through our excuses. When we're busted, we need to go, oh my gosh, what a blessing social media is because it gives us a chance to model for our kids that we are still learning. And oh my gosh, you're right. I'm on it too much too. Instead of making an excuse, which teaches our kids, when you fail, you hide it. What we are doing is we are teaching our kids, oh my gosh, we all have things to work on. That's raising our kids under a blessing.
Yes, the hidden gifts of social media. One more opportunity for us to model good behavior in being a good digital citizen. It's just hard because we don't have experience ourselves as kids and teenagers dealing with this stuff. Plus, there's always a new app. It's hard to keep up, I know. Even the video games that we grew up with are not like they are today. Now they are collaborative and sometimes far too realistic. Which brings me to video games. Video games are probably the most challenging thing for adults because a lot of us don't play them and don't understand that there's a social connection that especially boys have when they play online together, but it takes up so much of their time and their attention. How do we navigate video games?
I think, again, one of the values we want to teach our kids is the value of balance. Are you using your imagination? Well, the video game helps me use Oh, absolutely. There's so many benefits to video games, but there needs to be a balance in your life of other things. And video games can suck up 4-6 hours of your day. That's not balance.
Oh, and interfere with sleep time for sure.
Absolutely. And we realized that our son, Jake, when we were taking him off, we said, you can have a half hour on every day during summer, half hour on, half hour off, a half hour on. You get a total of 1 hour. We limited that game. And it was Fortnite, which is so addictive and kids love it. And it was meeting some of his needs. And he was throwing a fit. And we were like, okay, you can't do it. You haven't earned that freedom. And then it dawned on me, oh my gosh, I've never shown any interest in this thing that's really important to my son. And so I said, could I come and watch you play? I won't interrupt. After the half hour was up, he was like, well, what do you think? And I was like, well, what is that thing? And he talked to me. I just did a coaching call in Switzerland with a teenager who's 17 who tried to take his life by ingesting pills 4 weeks ago. And I'm building trust with this young man. And we spent our last session, 40 minutes of an hour and a half, which was supposed to be 90 minutes, was me asking him to explain the video game that he loves and why he loves it. And the bonding that created between us, it became a tool. Now, I'm not suggesting we let our kids run crazy and we just sit with them and watch them every time, but that's the first question. Have I shown interest? Do I seem to care about something that's valuable? And if I do, then it's much more interesting. They don't understand what this video game is. Why would they limit it? This is a good thing for me. These are my friends I'm making. Well, there's predators out there, but these aren't predators. You don't even know. That's another way of listening, is to show interest in it. But we do have the right to set limits.
That's a great tip, is to get to understand it. The other challenge I find is, like, if you tell your child you can't play video games until you finished your homework, all they do is rush through their homework as fast as they possibly can, right?
Right. We tell our kids, when you come home, we believe in chores. There's so much research as to why chores help prepare our kids for the future. That's another whole session. But we say when you come home, you get time to get a snack and to relax, half hour or an hour. And then you do your chores. And then you do your homework. And then it's your free choice of what you're going to do with your time. But there has to be a balance. We encourage our kids during that hour when you get home, you can do that unwinding from school. We all need to unwind from a tough day. And a lot of our kids are exhausted, particularly introverts, because schools are designed for extroverts. And they come home, they're just drained. They need time alone. And so why not you can have an hour now and then do your homework. And then we'll talk about having another hour later, because you're showing us that there's this balance. And I'm on your side. This is a big thing about freedom. We are on your side because we want you to have total freedom, because that's our job, because one day you're going to leave and we're not going to be there to police your freedom. So we want you to learn to have balance in your life with the freedoms you have. Freedom is earned.
So you start from that mindset, is that we want you to have freedom, and I'm going to help you get there, but you don't have it yet.
And if you lose a freedom, it's not because we're jerks. There's a reason. You showed you're not ready for it yet, but we're cheering for you. When we take away a freedom, we shouldn't shame our kids. We shouldn't say, how can I ever trust you again? What we should say is, okay, it's just the way life is. We all make mistakes. We want to open that gate to give you more freedom. We're going to give you every chance to show us you're ready for that freedom, because we're on your side, not your back.
Yeah, let's not get on our kids' back. Let's get on their side. You can be tough and set limits and hold kids accountable and be a mean parent and still approach them with the mindset that you're there to help them, support them, and cheer them on. You want them to succeed. And a big part of that is understanding them. If you don't know where your kid is coming from, or you're frustrated with something they're doing, the best way to figure it out is to ask them. Ask them to show you what they're doing, what they like about it, and why they want it. That's a great way to earn their respect. And it's okay for you to be vulnerable. It's okay to sit and watch a great show with them on TV too. Go ahead, veg out. For more from the Pediatrician Next Door, find me on the web at pediatriciannextdoorpodcast.com. If you've got a question about the weird things kids do, send an email to hello@pediatriciannextdoorpodcast.com for a chance to hear your voice on the show. I'm Dr. Wendy Hunter, and I'm the Pediatrician Next Door. This show is produced by Red Rock Music. Make sure to subscribe and leave a review wherever it is you're listening. I'll be back next time with more.